Hello and welcome to episode 23. Today we're going to be talking about why motivation is not a strategy for obtaining your goals. Real quick, I did want to mention that I noticed a little bit of technical difficulty with our sign up for the newsletter. So if you previously signed up for the newsletter but have not received anything, the free handout, for the habit tracker or my weekly emails, I apologize. I did update the link on all episodes and it'll be in the show notes today. So if you could hop down and go, even if you go to the link tree /TFN, then you'll be able to sign up for the email list. So, all right, let's talk about why motivation is not a strategy. Ready to heal thy spirit for a healthy spirit. Enjoy. Hey, busy lady. Welcome to the Heal Thy Spirit podcast. Do you want to stop procrastinating and stay motivated to get things done? Are you a time-starved night owl constantly searching for ways to have time freedom? Do you wake up most mornings with audacious goals only to get distracted and overwhelmed when your busy life sidetracks your agenda? Then, instead of focusing on your to-do list, you've wasted countless hours scrolling Facebook ads for goal planners and habit trackers because all your multitasking has robbed the mental clarity you need to stay on target. Well, sis, you're in the right place. I, too, was juggling work, kids, and multiple responsibilities. I felt exhausted and disorganized and wished I could establish efficient daily habits and routines. I wanted more time, a flexible schedule, and a plan I could stick to. Actually finish what I'd started. I used to think everyone else's needs should come first, and I truly believed chasing my own dreams was selfish, until I discovered my secret ingredient: success coaching mixed with a little planning and a lot of prioritization. In this podcast, you'll get useful time-saving tools, habit hacks, and the accountability to ignite your own fire so you can hit those targets and confidently crush your goals. I'm a talker and a no-holds-barred kind of teacher. So go grab one of those pretty little notebooks I know you've been hoarding. Girl, me too. It's crush time. Hello. I am now on video, so let me know how this background looks. I did, if you watched episode 22, where I interviewed Malika, I did leave my background because, my office area is clean, but I do tend to be self-conscious about like the wall. There was like the background, in the background, it was showing the, I don't even know what you call that thing, but the where the fuses are. And normally I have my door open whenever I'm on Zoom because I am, or on video in general, because I'm, home alone during the day. But when I recorded that interview, it was after hours and Vaughn was home. And so I shut the door so as not to disturb him. And I was like, I don't like how this background looks. So I went on Canva and made this handy dandy background here, which I rather like. So let me know what you think. If it looks weird, like I'm floating or something like that. I don't have that particular shelf behind me, but would be nice to have. All right. So welcome back. You are either watching or listening to the Heal Thy Spirit podcast with Tia. I am your host, and today we are talking about the myth of that all you need is a little motivation or willpower to achieve your goals. So in my true word fashion, my obsession with words, I, of course, wanted to start out with some definitions. So trusty Google gave me two definitions for motivation. The first being the reason or reasons one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. The second definition is the general desire or willingness of someone to do something. Now, synonyms, I can't talk. Synonyms that were included with the definition include incentives, stimulus, inspiration, enthusiasm, drive, initiative, determination. All words that are things that we all think of as positive words that, want to get us going. I also looked up the definition for willpower because they're, pretty much synonymous, motivation and willpower. And you'll see that when we get to the synonyms here. But since the definition of willpower is control exerted to do something or restrain impulses. So, we're all super familiar with that. If only I had a little more willpower, then I could do the thing, I could achieve the goal. And the truth is that you can't rely on that. Now, synonyms for willpower include determination, resolve, drive, commitment, dedication, self-control, self-discipline, backbone. That was one that stood out to me, and tenacity. And a lot of these things, generally speaking, I don't say that I have really strong willpower. That's not something that I would ever say. But the determination, resolve, drive, commitment, dedication, self-discipline, those are things that I would definitely use to describe myself. And being that my name starts with T, tenacity is a word that I have used to describe myself as well, because you know how I like that alliteration. So put a pin in that, the definitions, for a second. I want to stay true to the outline for using our acronym of SPIRIT to get us through these lessons and kind of stay on track and, keep things short. So I looked up 2 scriptures for today for the sanctity part of this lesson. And I was actually only able to find the word motivation in the Bible one time. And it was in the Amplified Bible, which is a version that I don't generally read. But nonetheless, motivation, there was one verse, and it was in Paul's second letter to the Corinthians. So it's 2 Corinthians 4:1. And again, the Amplified Bible. And it says, therefore, since we have this ministry, just as we received mercy from God, granting us salvation, opportunities, and blessings, we do not get discouraged nor lose our motivation. So if we break that down, the first thing I want to recommend, if you're going to use this as, kind of a inspirational scripture to kind of get you through and help you keep up your motivation, I'd recommend that you replace the word ministry with, whatever the goal is. So, if exercise or a healthy body might be a good example. So since I have this healthy body, just as we received mercy from God, granting us salvation, opportunities, and blessings, so on and so forth, we do not get discouraged nor lose our motivation. So that could be a mantra, so to speak, that you could adapt. And, just in remembering that God has extended you mercy, salvation, opportunities, and blessings. I really like both of those words, opportunities and blessings. And don't waste them. Be thankful for the gifts and the talents that you've been given, and do the things that you are meant to do, even the things that you don't want to do. Now, the second scripture, it really wraps up everything that we're going to talk about today. While I had a difficult time finding motivation in the Bible, there are plenty of references to the synonym for willpower, which is self-control. And, that's the component of motivation that we're going to talk about today. So I thought this was a really good verse. This is 2 Timothy 1:7 from the Contemporary English version, or the CEV version of the Bible. And it says, God's Spirit doesn't make cowards out of us. The Spirit gives us power, love, and self-control. So I'll read that again. God's Spirit doesn't make cowards out of us. The Spirit gives us power, love, and self-control. And often we don't do the thing that we want to do out of fear rather than the lack of motivation. So I don't want to skip over that first part of the verse. I'm doing some really interesting reading right now about courage and calling as part of the curriculum for a class that I'm taking. And we'll definitely dive deeper into fear soon because I have gotten so much content. I'm such a nerd. I want to read all of my textbook instead of just the chapters that we have to do, for the assignments. But like I said, we'll be diving deeper into fear. I've got some, good ideas and some good information that I want to share with you. Not today, but soon. I just wanted to point that out before because that is, part of this verse, and courage and strength and lack of fear are things that will help us, stay motivated. Now to the second part of the verse, the Spirit, meaning the Holy Spirit, not this podcast. The Spirit gives us power, love, and self-control. Remember that, and we'll move into the conversation. So I just wanted to, point that out and have you keep that front of mind. So for identity, what motivates you? Why do you act or behave in a certain way? What impacts your desire or willingness to do something? Psychology Today says that, and I'm reading again, so I apologize. Motivation is the desire to act in service of a goal. It's the crucial element in setting and attaining our objectives. Motivation is one of the driving forces behind human behavior. It fuels competition and sparks social connection. Its absence can lead to mental illness, such as depression. And, that's so true when you think about the times that you're not feeling like doing the thing, you're procrastinating, you're not motivated, you don't want to do even the things that you would normally have no issues with doing. You might be in a little bit of a depressed mood. Now, I don't mean, I'm not a psychologist and, haven't had schooling or anything regarding that. I have experienced clinical depression, personally, so I can speak to it from that resolve. And it is something that, never goes away, but some days it's better than others. One of the symptoms that comes from depression is lack of motivation, where there are days you don't want to get up, you don't even want to get out of bed, much less do the things here and there that or the big things, the dreams and the goals that you have. So again, another topic for another day, but important to note here. So where does our motivation come from? There's two types of motivation. First, intrinsic motivation, which is the motivation that comes purely from within. It's not you're not doing it in anticipation of a reward or a deadline or outside pressure. And it's generally an important part of who you are, your identity. There's certain things that everyone does without thinking because it's part of who you are. Think back to our discussions about habits, and really, when it comes to intrinsic motivation, it's kind of like, think, for example, getting out of bed. Every single morning you wake up and you get out of bed. What motivates you to get out of bed? For some of us, it could be the alarm clock and the fact that you have to go to work. And that would be a less intrinsic and more extrinsic, which we'll talk about in a minute, motivation. For me, getting out of bed most days is not hard. I get up, I don't even use an alarm. I just get up because I am now a morning person and I look forward to waking up, starting my day early, and getting ahead of whatever is going to be coming at me. For me, I feel like waking up early is I'm motivated to do so intrinsically. Now, the way to getting this intrinsic motivation is going back to establishing your habits one at a time with consistency. So it's really a catch-22 if you think about it. I feel like you aren't motivated to do something that you feel you need to do, but you don't want to do what you need to do because you aren't motivated. So it's like, what comes first, the chicken or the egg, the motivation or the thing or the motivation? Intrinsic motivation is the kind of motivation that or what we're thinking of, when we wish we wanted to do stuff that we don't really want to do, the hard stuff, the boring stuff, the tedious stuff. Spoiler alert, you are never going to want to do the thing you don't want to do, because in most cases you can't get rid of the hurdle that's preventing you from doing it in the first place. You wouldn't need motivation if you wanted to do it. So you get what I'm saying there? All right, so that is why in the meantime we have to kind of set ourselves up for success with extrinsic motivation, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Extrinsic motivation is the motivation that you to do something for any reason that someone does something other than the joy of doing the work itself. And there's three components of extrinsic motivation. First, you have to believe increased effort will lead to increased performance, or doing the thing will have a positive outcome, be beneficial to you. Second, you have to believe that a better performance will be noticed and rewarded. And then third is balance, is just, simply wanting the reward that's being offered or promised. In order for extrinsic motivation to be effective, it must have all three elements. So you can't, I can give you a perfect example. They have these contests at work to try to motivate us to, do certain things. One, they had like a March Madness contest, and it was so that we would go in and kind of listen to our own calls. It really was for the managers, but to have the managers go in, listen to the calls and comment on it. But we would get extra points if we went in and, provided feedback to our manager or commented in this, one of the systems that we use. And the prize was like a virtual, a virtual escape room, which might be cool to do, like if I was signed up for it, solving a problem and getting out of a room, but it's virtual, so you're not physically in the room trying to escape. It wasn't a big motivator for me. It wasn't something that enticed me to do it more. Now, I'm the kind of person that I'm always going to do what I'm supposed to do, just because that's just who I am. I feel I'm a rule follower. I'm a box checker. So if there are things that I'm being asked to do, I'm going to make my best effort to do them. But I'm not going to be any more excited about doing it because of that particular reward. So that's, important to note. I also want to say that the article, and I'm getting these definitions and these breakdowns from that same article in Psychology Today, which of course will be in the show notes or down below if you're watching. If you want to read it, because it's really a lot of good information, but I kind of want to give you the Cliff's Notes version here, so that we can, be quick. And, I'll call out Deanna for me, who I was on her show the other day, the ABCs of Weight Loss, with Adventures with Deanna, or Adventures of Deanna. I forget which it's called. I'm sorry. But she had me as a guest on her show, and she was talking about the podcast and how I always say that it's going to be short, and it never is, because, I like to talk and I have a lot to say. So I'll do my best. But what I did want to mention, going back to what we're talking about, is that the article doesn't mention the threat of punishment or consequences. So I'm kind of looping that in to number two, because I think that it's not always the reward that motivates you, but also sometimes the consequence of the reward. So rather than just believing that a better performance will be noticed and rewarded, also add that lack of performance or completion of that task will be noticed and punished. So what bad thing is going to happen if I don't get this task done? So like I said, both all three need to be present. If one piece of those is missing, like, you might believe that completing your goal is gonna, lead to success or accomplish the thing that you want to accomplish. And you might also want the reward, but maybe if there's no punishment or nobody's going to notice whether you do it or not, then that's still not enough to motivate you to do it. So that's, kind of what I want to point out. Now, just in moving into those individual pieces, notice the first two components both start with believing. You have to believe that the thing you're doing is worth doing, number one. And number two, you have to believe that somebody's going to notice and either reward you or punish you. And that belief all goes back to mindset. So, we talk about mindset a lot here all the time. Mindset is one of my focuses as a coach. So I can't emphasize enough how important having the right mindset, and right is relative to you, for whatever it is you're trying to accomplish, how critical it is in achieving your goals. Because if you don't believe that you're capable of doing something, you're not going to be able to do it. That's just the honest truth. Going back, we talk about mindset a lot. And often we think that the thing you're trying to do or the goal you're trying to attain is the thing, when the truth is it starts with what you believe. That's what I was trying to say. So if you believe that you can do it, then you can do it. Or that's the starting factor of it, is believing that you are capable, believing that it's going to work, and believing that it's worth it. And I was, going into our brains being powerful, and, real talk, pretty much everything about us is dictated by our brain, our feelings, our behaviors, everything. So simply just saying, oh, I'm going to get more motivation, or I need to have more willpower. Obviously, that's not going to solve the issue. You're not going to magically wake up because you did your affirmations or declarations, for 67 days in a row, and listen to yourself say, Tia is motivated. Tia has willpower. Because it's a very non-tangible thing. That's what I'm trying to say. It's not going to solve the issue. So you start with your mindset. Again, another topic for another day. Actually, another spoiler alert for you. The entire month of May here at Heal Life Spirit is going to be about mindset. So stay tuned for that. Today, we're talking about motivation. After we do some mindset work, you might want to come back to your notes or listen or watch again, and then kind of refresh on the points that we're going over today. For your resources. And basically, for the purposes of today's conversation, we're talking about extrinsic motivation, because as I've already said a couple times, the intrinsic motivation is just going to come as you build habits and change your identity as to the type of person that you are. Once that changes, your motivations are going to change. So some of the things that you don't naturally want to do, in the future, you might naturally want to do them. So in the meantime, we're talking about what can you do to get through the process. Some resources, first, I talk about inspiration, and I want to go back to the scriptures, because that's always where it starts for me, is, praying, reading the Bible, looking for things that motivate you. If that's not your jam, quotes, speakers you like, looking up people motivational speakers on YouTube that you really enjoy listening to and can get you hyped up and get you in a good mood. Good music, whatever kind you listen to, whatever puts you in your happy place and sets the mood for, work, getting the things done. That's where you're going to go for inspiration. I want to talk about rewards as well. And essentially it starts with, what is the reward that you're seeking? Are you looking for more time? Are you looking for more money? Are you looking for friendship and socialization, a promotion at work, a date night with your significant other? Whatever, make it something that you really want and that you're truly willing to work for. Because, a lot of times, my thoughts always go back to weight loss, because that's the season that I'm in right now. But if you're getting ready for, say, a high school reunion, that it's coming up, and you want to lose weight because you want to look good and you want to impress people, that you're going to see. That's a motivation, because it has a deadline. It's like, okay, I want to lose X number of pounds by this date for this reason. A lot of people are motivated by that. Actors doing certain roles in movies. Some people have to gain weight for a particular role to play a particular character. They're going to get paid a lot of money if the movie does well. So they're motivated to put the work in that they need to do that. So that the point that I'm trying to make is you don't want to make it too general. If, still in talking about health, if, let's say you climb the stairs, this is, me speaking, ask me how I know. If you take the stairs instead of the elevator, and you find that once you get to the top of the stairs, you're out of breath, and you're like, you know what, I really don't want to be out of breath just from climbing 2 or 3 flights of stairs. That the fact that you're not going to be out of breath, yes, it's going to feel good, but it's not specific enough, or for most people, motivating enough for them to always take the stairs so that they can build up their endurance to be able to climb the stairs without being out of breath. So an example of what you could do, okay, I want to be more active. Let me set a steps goal. And then every week, if I'm going to do 10,000 steps a day, if that's my goal, I'm just pulling numbers out of the air. And there's 7 days a week, that's 70,000 steps a week. So maybe every week that I hit the 70,000, I'm going to drop $20 in the jar. Then after 3 months, however much money is in the jar, then I'm going to use that to buy something that I really want, that I felt, was, frivolous before, or I didn't want to spend the money, or didn't take the time to spend the money. Now you have this little bucket of money that you can reward yourself with. And also, looking at it as a punishment, because you're not going to put that $20 in the jar on the weeks that you don't hit your goal. So that's going to motivate you to go for it even more. So find the thing that you really want, the thing that motivates you, and make that, what you're shooting for. Make that the target, and focus on that throughout the steps that you set up for your goal plan. Now, as far as implementation, to be honest, there is no fail-proof implementation for having more motivation. It's truly, as we've talked about, a byproduct of the results. So my advice is to implement a routine, starting one habit at a time, as I preach all the time, and do it anyway, even when you don't feel like it. The repetition, the consistency is going to make it a habit. It's going to become a thing that you look forward to doing at some point. I can't tell you if that's going to be in 30 days, or if that's going to be in 67 days, or if that's going to be in 90 days or 5 years. But if you stick with it, you build those habits, go through the steps, do the work, it will become intrinsically motivating for you. The other advice that I have for implementation is accountability. Now, I know I sound like a broken record on this one, but it is truly what you need in order to hold yourself accountable. I have 2 friends who are also business owners, and we, for the last few months, have been getting on monthly Zoom calls to kind of keep ourselves accountable. There's 3 of us, we go in a round robin, talk about what we're working on, what we're looking to achieve over the next 30 days. And then we have a chat where we text each other and, check in on each other and make sure we're doing the things that we said that we were going to do. And it's funny because we were in our conversation that just this week, we were talking about how, isn't it funny how we show up for everyone else, but if you just have a plan and a set time that you're going to do something, you're so willing to, not show up for that. I can put in my planner that from 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, I'm going to work on this task, but you allow the distractions to prevent you from doing that. So we came up with, we're going to do office hours once a week where we get together on a Zoom. We are bringing our work with us. So we're not really interacting with each other than to ask for opinions on, something that we might be working on, but we're going to use that dedicated time that's plugged into our calendars to do the work that we promised ourselves that we were going to do. So I'm excited to see how that's going to work out, and I'll certainly let you know. But that is, my definite advice for implementation this week with trying to increase your motivation, because the motivation itself, not a strategy. Which brings me to the truth. Today's truth is that motivation is not a strategy. You cannot rely on motivation or willpower to get the job done, because there are going to be days and seasons and, sometimes months and years where you just don't feel like it. I hope not years that you don't feel like doing whatever the thing is, depending on what the thing is. But you get the point that I'm saying. Sometimes you just wake up and you don't feel like it. I just got back from vacation. We went to Florida for a wedding this past weekend, and we got back on Tuesday, and I had all these grand plans that I was just going to jump right back into everything. I was home by like 11 a.m., 12 noon on Tuesday. And I sat on the sofa and, stayed awake as long as I could, because I didn't want to mess up my sleep schedule and routine. But I did nothing. We vegged and watched TV. I did absolutely nothing on Tuesday. Wednesday morning, despite my planning ahead to work out while on vacation, that did not happen. And Wednesday morning, back to my regular routine. I couldn't do it. I could not do it. I was tired and I wanted to rest more. So, I was awake because I always get up early, but I didn't put on my workout clothes and I didn't hop on the Zoom. And my friends were there to, say, hey, we missed you this morning. I thought you were back, yada, yada, yada. And that in itself was enough for me to work out myself later on that day at 8:00 versus 5:30, which is when I normally work out. So I'm kind of still talking about accountability, but the truth is there's going to be days that you don't want to do the thing, and you can't just say, I'm going to have the motivation. The intrinsic motivation that we talked about, it's going to come and it's always going to be there for the things that you want to do. If there's something that you want to do because you like doing it, you don't need motivation to do that. That's already there. The motivation that you're after is the extrinsic motivation, but sometimes you can't depend on that long term. You have to depend on that in the short term until it develops into the more natural long-term intrinsic motivation. How about that? Not investigation. So that said, when you do believe what you want to do will lead to the result that you want to yield, and make sure that the result is big enough for you to go after it, and you start keeping those promises to yourself and seeing the outcomes that come from your commitment, you'll start to want to do things just for the sake of doing them. But for now, do it anyway, even when you don't want to. And that's really all that I have for today. And, the recording of this podcast, the audio only version, if you're listening, will probably be edited this week since I'm on video, and it's a little weird to kind of be sitting there staring at you with dead air. But I'm gonna do the thing that I don't want to do because I want to make the end result better for you to enjoy and easier for you to follow. That's all I got for you today. I hope you have a fabulous week. Sign up for the email list if you haven't already. The link will be below and also in the show notes if you're just listening. And have a good week. Talk to you again soon. Thank you, ladies, for hanging out with me today. It's always so much fun. Now, if today's episode was good for you and the spirit leads, make sure you write a review. That'll help other women find us, and somebody else might receive a little bit of the value that you got today. All right, I'll see you on over in the Heal by Spirit Facebook group. The link is in the show notes if you're still not a member. Grace and peace be with you in abundance. Take care.